It was an orange wine from Greece, and I don't know. I fell in love with how it tasted, how it smelled, but I couldn't tell you anything about what it is, how it was made, the name of it.
So just a couple of weeks ago, I was at Parallel 44 Winery in Kewaunee, Wisconsin, and during that particular time, I got to interview the owner, Steve Johnson, who we've talked to many times in the past, as well as his son, Isaac. But today I'm here with his assistant winemaker, and that's Bennett Ewald. Bennett, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could be here today. This is October. Are we still on? Yeah, we're still October.
Barely holding on.
Yeah, just shy of Halloween, although this probably isn't going to air till January. So you are at the very end pretty much of harvest at this point.
That's right. All the harvesting is done. All the grapes have been picked. The wine has almost all been fermented. So now it's kind of the slow work begins. Say we have like a wall of wine ahead of us, and we're going to slowly chip away.
Are you back to living a relatively normal life at this point, or no?
Yeah. Life is kind of business as usual now, and we have weekends, can see friends and family again.
Oh, yeah. Remember, you have those.
Yeah.
At this point in your life, about how many harvests do you have behind you?
I would say around 7.
But you've worked in a few other places outside of the States.
I have. This is my second in the state, so most of them have been outside the state. In California, in Sonoma County. I did in Germany, in the Pfalz region, and in Australia, I did a few.
Now, this is cool in that you've worked at these 3 different major areas, and I'm thinking, what a contrast of styles and how things were done. Was it a challenge for you to go from one to the other to the other?
In terms of the winemaking and what you do every day in the cellar, no. Everything is pretty much standard. I mean, different style of tanks, different style of fermenting, but you start with grapes and you end up with a wine. The process isn't that different. The grape varieties are, completely different. There's totally different things you have to think about, more like how much you oak something, the type of oak you use, kind of more of the nuances of how to deal with the flavor profiles you get from different varieties.
Were there ones that were more of a challenge to you than others?
Actually, I think these grapes here, these Wisconsin varietals, mostly just in the press, they kind of gunk up a lot. So like actually practically working with them, you can kind of plug up the press, and that can be messy and a problem.
Let's talk about your wine background. Talk about your road to wine. What got you there? How did you get bitten?
Sure. This all started in college for me, and it was a kind of unforeseen path that I'm glad happened. So I didn't know anything about wine. I don't think I drank any wine up until I saw a job posting for an assistant winemaker position where I went to school at the University of Minnesota, where they were doing research on a lot of cold climate grape varietals. And I was making beer in my apartment at the time in college, and it's like, I can get paid to pretty much do what I'm doing? That sounds awesome. And from there, I was like, this is one of the coolest jobs I've ever had. I can't believe you get to make money doing this. And then I looked at all the places that make wine, and it's the most beautiful places in the world. And I was like, sounds like an awesome job. I'm going to pursue this. So then, I went to California, went to Europe, went to Australia, and I really enjoyed it all and happy I got to do it.
So how did you end up here with Steve? I mean, did you come knocking on the door, or did you, was it some kind of networking? Or?
I sent him a cold email out of the blue. And I was in Australia, and I was kind of getting pushed out of my visa. And so I needed to find a new place to go. And, my parents live in the area, my grandparents as well, and I just want to spend more time with them. And I thought, well, I know there's wineries in the area. Let me look out to the best one and see if they need any help. And so I just sent a random email saying, coming back, I have this experience, and if you need any help, let me know. I'll be around.
And did that happen fairly immediately, or?
Yeah, I think I got a response in a couple days, and then maybe a week later we were talking on the phone, and I was in Australia at the time, and so it was nice to kind of have a plan once I got back. And then, yeah, I got back, and a couple days later I started working here.
Very different to be here in Wisconsin making wine, not a wine center, but certainly an area with plenty of wineries. What do you think for your own future at this point? And I'm talking near future.
Yeah, I think for me, the industry in Wisconsin is so young, and there's so much potential. Like, especially for a young winemaker, you could go to somewhere in California or some other region, and it's so hard to break into because it's so saturated. You can't really stand out. Here you can really pioneer something. You get to be a part of a new endeavor and kind of build it how you want to. And that's an exciting thing.
Do you make your own wine?
I do make my own wine.
Yeah?
Well, occasionally I have almost every vintage made at least a few cases of my own.
What have you made?
I've made Cabernet, I've made Syrah, I've made sparkling Rieslings. That was kind of an experiment that I did. I made sparkling wine last year, a skin contact white sparkling wine from one of these varieties called Louis Swenson. And I haven't touched that. It's been in bottle for a year, bubbling up, so.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So certainly it would make sense for an owner to want to encourage you to do that. Are you doing it here at the winery, or do you do it at home? How does that work?
I do it at home. I like to kind of, do crazy things that just whatever comes to my mind with, no thought or no rules. But I'm lucky enough that I get given some juice I can experiment with.
So Steve's behind you on it.
Yeah. Yeah, he'll let me kind of do what I want. He gives my ideas a little bit of legs to run.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Steve and I were talking before we did this interview about the state of wine right now, which is a challenging period. You're a younger guy, and supposedly some younger people have a hesitance of alcohol in general. What's your point of view, or what do your friends say?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I think people are trying to be more health conscious, and they have an idea that wine or alcohol in general doesn't align with that, which I don't agree with, and most of my friends luckily don't agree with, because for us, wine is just something that gets us together. It's something you share over a meal. It's really a social event more than, you're not drinking shots of alcohol just to drink. You're having conversations, you're learning, you're being really mindful, and it's more of an experience than anything.
So you've had a fair amount of time so far in the industry, and this is a question that can go positive or negative, or both if you like, but what makes you crazy about the wine business?
For me as a winemaker, I like kind of experimenting and creating new wines, and the process of, it's a scientific endeavor, but it's also very personable, and you kind of get to put your own twist on it, and you get to make a physical product that people enjoy. And I enjoy that of winemaking. And as a consumer, I love just the variety and like the history and the different regions. And you can just take one single grape variety and just look at the lineage of it and try it from 4 or 5 different countries, different areas, and they're all completely different styles. And it's just like a never-ending puzzle to kind of try all this new stuff.
Is there a wine or a grape, I should say, that you haven't been able to work with that you'd like to? Is this one you've would have sought out if you have the chance?
Ooh, probably. There's a lot of weird grapes that I have no idea what the names are. I'm thinking of like some Greek varieties where I've tried one of their wines, and it's like an amazing experience. I tried the wine. It was an orange wine from Greece, and I don't know. I fell in love with how it tasted, how it smelled, but I couldn't tell you anything about what it is, how it was made, the name of it. But it's just things like that. Like, there's so much variety, and you can explore. It's never ending.
Is there a wine area that you haven't visited that you'd like to get to?
Yeah, for sure. I like to go to Georgia, the country of Georgia, kind of like the birthplace of wine. and see their styles, because so much of what we do as winemakers kind of stems from ancient techniques and what they invented and created. And I like to see kind of really the start of all that.
For our listeners who'd like to visit here, are people able to just come by the tasting room, or do they need to make an appointment? How does that work?
For sure, just hop on in. We have friendly staff that'll greet you. You can do tastings by the glass. You can do a sample flight. You can buy whole bottles. Come have fun, and we'll make it a good time.
That's what it's all about, is having fun. And for our listeners who'd like to learn about you online, what is your website here?
You can go to 44wines.com, and that'll bring you to the website. We can see both wineries and all the wines we offer and all the events we got going on.
Very good. Bennett, this was a real pleasure to meet you and chat with you. I wish you great success in your career. Hope one day a psychiatrist might explain why you decided to do this. Thanks very much, man.
Thank you very much.